Hello, hello. Welcome to the Lorethrough. Today we are doing episode 39, and it has been a good long while since I've recorded anything. I hope it doesn't take me too long to get into the swing of things. I had to move from one place to another, all the stuff packed away. It wasn't too far of a distance, but it's thoroughly convinced me I should never buy anything ever again and downsize dramatically. Just so many little things, that you think you might need, that you hoard, that you get, that you collect over time, and then if you move into a smaller space, it becomes readily apparent you have really too much for your daily needs. So here we are making our way over to this minor Erd tree, and we see a mausoleum in the distance, and sure as day, we have an Erd tree avatar chilling down there. There he is with this big old staff. And there are some ancestor followers down there, and these ones are not spectral. They look corporeal, in fact. This should be a safe spot. Excuse me. And so we are going to deal with this threat promptly. Alright. Just need to remember where I put everything. I probably should have done some inventory management before today, but oh well, here we are. I wanted to show off... Oh no. Oh no. That's on me. I wanted to show off the Great Shield. And sure enough, Great Shields, they can block a good amount. Shields in general are dangerous, especially PvP. Mostly because there's lots of player attacks that do a lot of stamina damage. It's very easy to get guard broken, even when you're not using a great shield. Honestly, it feels like you shouldn't block with a shield unless you're using a great shield in PvP, just for how risky it is. And even then, you got to be very mindful. Make sure you get most of your stamina, and roll otherwise. That's Take a couple sips here. I like how his staff has a little Erd tree insignia on it. It's funny for something that looks like it might have sprouted from the minor Erd tree to defend it, and it got an actual piece of very nice craftsmanship and metallurgy as a weapon. There we go. Magic, lightning, and holy shroud and cracked tears. Each one buffing magic, lightning, and holy damage by a percentage for, I think, 3 minutes. They were nerfed in the most recent patch. Well, actually, no. Well, I'd say the most recent patch, patch 1.09, even though by the time of this recording, 1.09.1 has occurred, which I'd probably call a hotfix, not a full patch. You get the point. Still, lots of these ancestor followers, and they're big, beefy enemies. There we go. The shield is very effective, and I thought I'd point out, because I don't think I have before, but do you see this little stake in the ground here? It almost looks like it has a little window in it that's been boarded up or something, or entombed in stone. Interesting little design. Almost like it was something larger and it was shrunk down. But this particular stake is what lets you summon spirit ashes. So long as you are near to one of those, you may summon freely. And a good old... I already grabbed that one. Okay. And won't you know, don't you know it? Another mausoleum. There's another one over yonder, and there's one here. Guard counters. Guard counters are silly. It seems that guard counters work the best with big weapons on smaller, or on other players in specific situations. You can actually make a guard counter build And it's to be used sparingly. If you're guard countering all the time, your enemy will wisen up and adapt. And it depends on the weapon, because not all guard counters are created equal. But as you may notice, with certain attacks, especially with his weapon there, he kind of staggers after hitting my shield. And so the higher the guard boost on, I believe it's the guard boost stat that dictates it. The higher your guard boost stat on a shield, the more likely an enemy will plink off of your shield, is the term I've come to use. I don't know what the technical term is, but here we have more mausoleums. I will need to come to these at some point, because we do have a boss, so we'd probably like to duplicate. Yeah, you know what? We got some time. Let's get that taken care of. I have gravitas now. Well, I've had it for some time, but this is the jumping mausoleum. Look at him go. Oh, he's too close. That's on me. That's 100% on me. Yeah, it's like I need to be more careful with where I aim this thing. Yeah, that might have been clear. Is he jumping again? He is. Can I jump his landing? I may have been too far away for that to really count. Is he fallen? Was that enough? It looks like he is crouching down. I may have mentioned this in the last episode that featured these mausoleums. But if you show up to these in the middle of the night, there's a certain window of time where they're quiet. Where they're sleeping. They're just chilling out. And where's the front door? There's the front door. So we will duplicate Gotrik's boss soul, and I will probably show off his two weapons in a later episode, because I believe one of them has a faith requirement, and the other one has really high strength and dex requirements. Ooh. Can we not? I still have it. I don't think you need it on. Maybe you need to use it. I know you can't duplicate all souls at all mausoleums. I forget what the restrictions are, but I'll have to look into that. Alright, we'll come back to the mausoleums at a later point. But here we have a good old site of grace. And this particular one is called the Mausoleum Compound, which makes sense. There's two wandering mausoleums nearby. Here we have the Dynast Prophet again, and we get a better look at his tablet. A tablet that has the semblance of a tree on it. Prophet of the coming age of the Erd tree, more than likely. Okay, there were a couple things I needed to loot in this area. I'm trying to remember where they are. Precisely where they are. I don't think it's over there. I think it's a cliff over here. I remember now. Okay, I went too high. I knew somebody would probably be yelling at their monitor, "Turn around, you fool." Yeah, I'm doing this from memory. I don't have a map open. I have liner notes in front of me. Just little bullet points of what to look for. I have a map of generally where I need to go, like I connect the dots. Just major objectives, but I don't have every little item on the map. That would clutter it too much. But in this area, there's a gap in the cliff, or in these rocks here. There it is. And this gap in the cliffs leads to an item we want. There it is. Oh, and a handful of Mikola lilies. There we go. The Stalwart Horn Charm. So let's take a look at that. An accoutrement worn by the ancestral followers, said to be a budding horn. The ancestral followers believe that the horns of a long-lived beast continue to bud like antlers over and over again until the beast one day becomes an ancestral spirit. We have fought one ancestral spirit. That was the big old deer boy, or elk boy, that we fought underground. I couldn't tell you which one it's supposed to be more like. I'd probably say elk just because of the size and the horn structure a little bit, but I could be wrong. Okay. Not over here. These mausoleums seem to be very active. Especially since they hop up and down. Here we have more Dynast ruins. Makes you wonder what civilization may have existed up here, since previously we've only seen Dynast ruins underground. Oh, where is it? It's supposed to be on one of these cliffs. There it is, okay. These were my required items for the area. So this is the Spiral Horn Shield. It's a very good shield, because it boosts immunity, robustness, and focus. Small shield of antlers arranged in an eddy-like pattern. If used to attack foe, the shield's antlers inflict blood loss. Once given to a tarnished warrior who cultivated close ties with the ancestral followers, though the effect is only slight, it boosts immunity, robustness, and focus. General status resistance. Does a little bit on all of them, making a very good choice. A lot of people, when they're fighting status builds in PvP, they will quickly swap to that shield and throw it on their back. There's a handful of items in this game that people refer to as backpacks. And they say that because you take the item and you just throw it on your back for its passive effect or whatever it does. So here we have a handful more of these fellows. And the interesting thing here is they're here to ambush you should you be coming up from the other direction. Specifically from the south heading north. And they have those really long-reaching arrows like we saw below. Okay. Oh, this is the wrong weapon. There we go. And that's some tasty AR 421 for a level 60 with plus 8 weapons. I didn't know you could wait so long on that, on the guard counter. You actually have a decent window to respond to it. Doesn't have to be anticipatory like I keep trying to do. Alright. Good, good, good. Now... So we've gotten the grace there. We gotta go meet one of my favorite characters. Let's go. We'll skip all these idiots because they offer no bonuses for us, and we're at a very even 10,000 runes. Why would we want to ruin that precious number? Don't worry, we'll ruin it soon enough. But we head up here. Well, I should probably take a look at the environment first. So there we can see the Bestial Sanctum in Caelid, a Divine Tower, another Divine Tower. Can't really see the Colosseum from here. There's Stormbale. Here's the Divine Tower of Liurnia and an attached building. It looks to be of a different architectural style. Its bridge, however, also has more of those Sword Saint statues. I should probably get closer because it looks like there might be statue reliefs figures in those alcoves. That's for another time, though. We're going to this church up here. Well, maybe we'll take a good look from the cliff. Actually, there's a little gravesite up here. I don't know if I've ever been up here. I guess I should see if there is an item. There likely is. And probably someone dead. Oh, one whole grave violet. Not even worth it. One enemy with a gravesite. There's a handful of, when you play Souls games a lot, you find out a couple locations where you can easily farm weapons that you want, right? And I don't really have a location for the Grave Scythe. I just kind of hope and kill and use the items that buff item discovery. Alright, so here we see the Academy of Rea Lucaria. And don't you know, I keep saying that phrase, there's the belfries from before. Here's the opposite side of the lake. Here's Torrent's Head. The Mausoleum. We even see a little Mausoleum soldier on the left-hand side there. And here we have the Mausoleum. It's wrecked bridge. We were on that side where we talked to Bach and Melina at the Bellum Highway. And it has this big, long roadway that goes into the lower sunken town. And there's that other church on the other plateau. We couldn't get to that. We didn't see a way to get to it. We did go underneath where the village of the Albinurics was, though. So, we will get there at a later point in time. But here we have a church building. And we like church buildings in this game. They're nice, they're cozy, and best of all, they offer great rewards. Most of the time they have flask upgrade items. Either more flasks or more potent flasks. But we have a very differently styled church here. It's kind of close to what we've had in the past, right? The stonework is similar to a lot of the other churches, but we see all these, it looks like the Sword Saints, but they're holding torches now. And we have a figure with a pointed veil, hood crown thing. Covered eyes, holding a little basin. And we don't see a statue of Queen Marika or King Consort Redigan. Yeah, but there's these very nice arches, and they're filled in with bricks, and then they have smaller windows in between, but the windows are covered up by these statues, which seems odd. And these particular arches, especially in the back of the church, seem to be made out of a slightly different material than the rest of the building, almost like this might have been originally something, and it was added onto, refurbished, maybe fixed up a little, and then the front of the church was rebuilt. I know some of you are like, why are you talking about the architecture? There's a big old turtle with a pope head over here. And you're right. There is a big old turtle with a pope head over here. And we will talk to him now. What a sleepy boy.
You're tarnished, aren't you? I welcome you to the Church of Vows. I am Miriel, steward of this sacred chamber. My apologies for the unseemly state of affairs. Do you know the origin of this place? How it came to be known as the Church of Vows?
I do not know.
Well, that is a shame. But who can blame you? The shattering has caused us, all of us, to lose sight of something very dear. It is here, at the Church of Vows, that the great houses of the Erd Tree and the Moon were joined by the matrimonial bond between red-haired Radigan and Renala of the Full Moon. And so our church holds in view the monuments of both houses, the Erd Tree of the capital and the Academy of Rea Lucaria.
So that's interesting, because we know of Radigan briefly as second Elden Lord, which means he must have been married to Queen Marika. Who is this Renala of the Full Moon, right? We might have a handful of items that reference a Renala of the Full Moon. There it is. So the larval tear says, core of a creature of mimicry known as a silver tear, as much a substance as it is a living organism. Material required by the amber egg cradled by Renala, queen of the full moon, to birth people anew. Being born anew allows the reallocation of attributes boosted by leveling up. So it seems that in one point in time he had some sort of relationship with Renala, and we will talk to him more and find out what is what. Alright, let's see what he has to say now.
Oh, was there something you needed? You are free to show yourself around. I would serve as your guide, only my legs aren't what they used to be. If you find anything of use, you are free to take it with you. Unless, perhaps, you are in search of instruction, in which case I will share all that I know.
Okay, so we get a little glimpse of Miriel, Pastor of Vows, his character. He wants to show us around, he wants to instruct, he wants to give to us. A total stranger. He feels it's important to serve others. Whether by letting us take whatever we find in the environment, gold sewing needle, and a golden tailoring tools kit. Or showing us around the place, and he would if only his legs worked. So that implies he's a very old turtle. Take a look at those items while we're thinking about it. Alright. Sewing needle made of gold. Unique item made to alter demigod attire. One of the tools brought by Radigan when he entered into the marriage with Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, and joined the Carrion line. So Queen of the Full Moon, we now see that, at least for certain, she's attached to the Carrion line. And we went to the Carrion Manor, so that must have been hers. Tailoring tools made from gold. Tools brought with the red-haired Radigan when he married into the Carrion line. With these, even demigod attire can be altered at a site of grace. So, better fashion options. So let's chat with him some more, and he has a lot to say to us. And you know what? Just to make sure we can hear him, because he has a lot to say, I think I'm going to boost the in-game volume, because I've heard some complaints from some people. And I will turn it back down, of course. So we'll give this a go. Yeah, okay. Okay, see what he has to say now.
Is there something else?
No. We can get more sorceries from him. I'll read the descriptions, actually. An old sorcery of the Carrion royal family creates a sigil overhead from which an enemy seeking glint blade appears after a brief delay. This sorcery can be used while in motion. Charging increases the delay. Said to be the prototype of the sword phalanx sorceries wielded by royal enchanted knights. One of the sorceries of the Carrion royal family conjures a magic greatsword and then delivers a sweeping blow. This sorcery can be cast repeatedly. Armed with this spell, sorcerers gain the strength of knights, their loyalty sworn to the moon. And he also has incantations. It's interesting that he has both. Blessing's Boon, one of the ancient Erd Tree incantations. Grants a blessing to the caster and nearby allies, gradually restoring HP. Hold to continue praying and delay activation. Blessings once fell like tears from the Erd Tree, and this incantation is but a lingering remnant of their power. And sure enough, we see that ancient primordial-looking Erd Tree symbol in the background, like we saw on the floor in the Chapel of Anticipation. At least I believe that's the same symbol. And we can give him Academy Scrolls.
Oh, what have we here? Very well, let us both learn together. Heresy is not native to the world.
Heresy is not native to the world, but it is a contrivance.
All things can be conjoined.
So he seems to be of a different persuasion. He's not outright a wizard or outright a priest of the Golden Order, but he's something in between. And so now that we've handed him those, we can get Swift Glintstone Shard, a fantastic spell, and Great Glintstone Shard, which is okay. We also have access to... We can give him all these prayer books we've been storing up. In fact, I think we should probably look over their item descriptions once before we hand them off. The scroll didn't have much lore to it for the sorceries, but these should have some. So, prayer book of the Round Table holds assassins, and we know the Round Table hold assassins serve the two fingers, and the two fingers seem to have that sigil, the rounded script in a circular pattern. And it looks just like the Cypher Pod punch weapon that we got earlier. Here we have the Fire Monk's prayer book. Prayer book of the Fire Monks, who came from the mountaintops of the Giants far to the north. Can be given to a learned cleric to gain access to the following incantations. Godskin prayer book. Prayer book bound in supple skin. Incantations of the God-slaying black flame are written within. Can be given to learned cleric. Yeah, okay. And it's made with Godskin, or so it appears. It has a very fleshy outer appearance, which is unnerving to say the least. But we can hand him all these things.
Oh, what have we here? Very well, let us both learn together. Heresy is not all thing.
And he says the same thing with each one.
Very well, heresy is all thing.
But essentially,
very well,
handing him all these
all thing.
buffs increases his options for his shot, especially incantations. So before he only had Blessing's Boon, and now he has all these others. We'll take a look at them. Incantation of the Two-Finger Servants, who once served the Assassins of the Round Table Hold, served as the Assassins of the Round Table Hold, excuse me. Creates a veil of darkness that conceals the caster. This incantation can be cast while in motion or crouching. The assassins were themselves once tarnished, who had strayed from guidance, and they pursued their duty in the darkness that is without grace. Assassins approach. The assassins were charged with eliminating tarnished who had strayed from guidance. O Flame. The giant's flame still smolders upon the distant northern mountaintops, and the fire monks are its guardians. Superior incantation of the fire monks. Creates a stream of fire to burn the area before the caster. So this is like Catch Flame, but bigger, and you can charge it, but you can't use it while like running or jumping. So you can charge it up for a bigger flame, or it's already a bigger flame than Catch Flame, the smaller version. And Search of Flame is like a short-range flamethrower. Yeah. The giant's flame is the flame of ruin, capable of burning the Earth Tree, and so following the war against the giants, so there was a war against the giants, its ruinous blaze was sealed, and the guardians were appointed to watch over it. And we know that the fire monks are those guardians, and something seems to have happened to make them travel south to Liurnia, and likely has something to do with Adan, Thief of Fire. That guy wearing the big fat armor with the flail who was casting the big sun incantation at us that would explode and leave fire on the ground. Black Flame. Black Flame incantation of the Godskin Apostles. Black Flame is weighty. After dealing damage, it continues to sap foes' HP for a very short time. So, not really lore other than Black Flame seems to be incantation of the Godskin Apostles. And this one also doesn't have lore, really. That's upsetting. But we do see that sigil in the background, and that is shaped very much like the Onyx Sacred Seal. The Godslayer Seal, actually. So that was a seal that we got in Stormvale Castle. In fact, I'll go look at that really quickly just as a visual reference. Take a look, see? Alright, yeah, so that sigil looks very much like the Godslayer seal here. Sacred Seal of the Godskin Apostles, inlaid with obsidian, said to represent the manipulation of Black Flame. This catalyst enhances Godslayer incantation. So something about Black Flame has to deal with wanting to, or perhaps being capable of, slaying the gods. So let's talk to Miriel. We have a little... Oh, we're at that awkward mark. We're almost at 30 minutes. You know what? We're going to go just a smidge longer just to hear out what he has to say, because it's not too much more. We can show him the Celestial Dew.
Do you possess any Celestial Dew? Then I would like to share my knowledge with you. Concerning the miracle of this Church of Vows, Radagon once cleansed himself with Celestial Dew, repented his territorial aggressions, and swore his love to Renala. The order of the Erdtree and the fate of the moon were conjoined, and all the wounds of war forgiven. This miracle blesses the Church to this day, and so you need only follow Radagon's example to restore any bond, however strained or severed, to its rightful state of harmony.
Okay. And we can ask about that miracle. So it seems interesting that at one point in time, Radagon was hostile towards Renala, and he used the Celestial Dew, which is this item here, to repent of his territorial aggressions, and then he swore his love to Renala, and it seems that she accepted. So it seems something very potent is in this dew that can almost force people to forgive you. Or perhaps it just simply reverts your reputation to a point in time where it's as if you had not done the horrible atrocity, which seems odd because it doesn't... Nothing seems to imply it undoes the damage directly, just the feelings around it, right? Allows one to carry out an absolution at the Church of Vows, reversing all antagonizations. Once upon a time, the stars of the night sky guarded fate, and this is a recollection of those times. Also known as a night tier. Hidden tier found in the Eternal City. So we can bring it here should we have offended anyone. So if we accidentally made an NPC aggressive to us that we didn't mean to, we could go here and undo that. But we don't need absolution. We're a good boy. For now. Okay, let me
Is
see.
there something?
Alright. We can ask him about the miracle.
To experience the miracle, kneel in the basin at the back and cleanse yourself with celestial dew. Absolution will be yours. Any bond, no matter how strained or even severed, will be put to rights.
And we can ask about that repeatedly. Okay, we're probably going to cut there. Next time, episode 40, we're going to talk to Miriel, and he is going to dump so much lore upon us, and then I'll probably lower the volume again. Maybe it wasn't necessary, but, or the speech volume, but I'm glad to have you with me. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully it wasn't too boring of an episode, but I hope you enjoy your day. Bye-bye now.
Hey!